Mobile applications, apps, the things we use in our daily lives, between playing little games on our phones and tablets to keeping important dates. But what does it take to make an app? What goes into all the work? How does all this code equal a little thing I see on my screen that I play games with? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you each individual thing you need to do to make an app. It may look hard, but it's not too hard once you break it down to the simple components. All you really need is a laptop, money for a subscription, and the time and dedication to write up a bunch of code and layout for your app. Anyone can do it, even a 10-year-old. First is deciding what OS you'll be using for your app. The normal 3 OSs people go with are iOS, Android, and Windows. Going with iOS means you play by Apple's rules, meaning even if you finish your app, you have to wait for them to approve it. Android and Windows doesn't require that, so you have a bit more freedom to do what you want. Keep in mind, you'll have to pay a membership to use the OS program to make your app. Once you decide on what OS you want to use for your app, go on the OS Studio site, create an account, pay the membership fee, then download the Development Studio to begin working on your app. Once you're ready to start making your app, specify your app name. Then, for the company domain, you put the web address of your company. You really only have to do this if you're publishing your app on a certain store, like either Google or Apple Store. Now, depending on the idea you have for your app, you have to think about the layout you're going to use, how it's going to look on phones and other smart devices. For this video, we'll be using Android Studio for the most Android layouts are made by combining different views. Views come in any form, but it's mostly basic from just rectangulars and different types of shapes that you constrain. When starting to make your views, you'll have an initial layout, but you don't have to use that layout that you start off with. You can remove it and change it up to any way you want. You'll be working in a constraint layout, which allows you to position and change them together different views in any way you want. If you have a good idea of what your app should look like, then start making your view. It should be really easy for you. But if you don't, you can just test out different constraints until you find the one that best suits your vision. But if you're still struggling, just go research different apps, see how they did theirs, and then you'll have a good idea of what you need to do and translate it into your general idea for your app. Next is typing up the code for your activities. Activity is in an app. It's basically telling the button in the app what to do. Think if you tap the add button on an ad app, you should add something. If it's coded right, then you should see something happen. Common sense. The code for activities in each view would follow a val and var rule. Val being something that doesn't change, like a person's birthday, while var is something that does change, like eating an orange. Typing up val and var for each roles will allow your app to function right. Just make sure you don't mess up the val, or else you'll get an error. You want to ID each val for each view, so this way it knows which val it's going for each view. For each val, you'll add an ID for a certain aspect of your app. Let's say you want to assign a variable to your home button. You would first type val home button equals view viewed ID from triangle button triangle parentheses r.id home button. By doing that, your code will be able to find your home button from the layout. which in turn assigns it to a new variable, which we named HomeButton. You would repeat those steps for any of your layouts to give access to the viewer, to give access to the views the user will see. The next line of code will be different. This code is what the user is going to interact with the layout. Add a space to the next line so you can begin your new code. Then begin typing out HomeButton.set onClickListener parentheses. By doing this, you'll have brackets to type more code in. These brackets all have something to happen when you interact with it. So type up a new val. Your new type val should be val home equals home parentheses dot back, which will allow you to interact with the home button, and it will take you back to wherever you originally started with. And to test it, you can easily just like run a little simulator just to see if all the code works. Once everything is good to go, you'll just hit the run button on the program. Doing this will cause an emulator of a phone to appear. This will allow you to see your app in action. If you coded everything right, then your app should run fine. But if it doesn't run fine, go back, look at your code, fix any problems. The more practice you get making apps, the more complex your app will become. Soon you can even make a poker app. Everyone loves poker. Who knows, maybe after watching this video, you'll go out and make an app right now. Thanks for listening. This has been How to Make an App.